Hey guys, it's Loves to Loom here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this super cute puzzler bracelet. This was created by Loomy Mama on Instagram. It's actually well overdue for its tutorial. I've been meaning to get to it for quite some time now, but I think it is super cute. This is actually a variation of her own Cirrus bracelet, and you can find that tutorial on my channel as well. This one I think takes about 150 or so bands to make, so yeah, but I will have Loomy Mama's info below so you can check her out if you haven't already done so. And without wasting any time, let's go ahead and get started. To make this bracelet, you are going to want to have a double-ended hook. If you do not have one, you can use 2 hooks to transfer. You also need 1 C-clip. So you're going to want to first start by deciding what you will want to be your border. And I'm going to use my silicone pink. I think they're actually like the Sweets bands from rainbowloom.com. So we're going to make a cap band on our hook here. And then we're going to grab 2 more bands of the same color. We're going to pull those through and reattach. So now we are going to add a total of 4 bands to each side. So we'll still be using the same border color. So the first band's going to go through the first 2 bands on your hook. But before you close that one off, you're going to pick up the very outside band and place that back on your hook. And then you're going to close off the one you pulled through. We need to do that again. So we're going to pull that through the first 2. And we're going to pick up the outside band and place that back on your hook and close it off. I'm going to do that again. Same thing, going through the first 2. Picking up the very outside band, place it back on your hook, close off the one you pulled through. And this is the last time we'll do it for this side. So same thing, going through the first 2. Picking up the very outside band, placing it on, and close it off. So now we have to do the same thing on the other side. So if you don't have a double-ended hook, you will need to use a second hook to transfer it, because it will get crowded with just a regular hook if you try to just flip it. So now we need to add 4 onto this side. So just like on the other side, we're going to go through the first 2. And then we're going to pick up the very outside band, place it back on your hook, close it off. Going through the first 2 again here. Pick up the outside band, place it back on, and close it off. How many did I do? 2. So I need to do 2 more. Same thing, going through the first 2. Pick up the outside, place it back on, close it off. And last one here. Same thing. Don't forget to pick up the outside band and place it back on, and then you can close that off. So that part's very repetitive, but it should look something like this when you're done. So at this point, we're going to work with the very inner 4 bands. And we are going to cross them upon each other. So it doesn't matter which direction you go or you cross. So I'm just going to go this direction. So it should be looking something like that. So now you're going to decide what is the first cross bands color that you're going to want to use. So I used like the silver in that one. I'm going to use white. And we're going to be pulling this through the first 6 bands. Make sure you keep them crossed as you do this. So pull that 1 band through the first 6. Now before you reattach that, we actually have to pick up all 4 of the outside bands. So get all 4 of the very end bands back on your hook. Like so. And then reattach the one you pulled through also. Now we need to do a little bit of rearranging, so all 4 of those bands need to go outside of the one that you just pulled through. I used some sticky bands, so that was a little more difficult than normal. So it should be sitting like that. So basically that white one I just pulled through only went on the 2 bands that were crossed. So grab another one of that same color band you just pulled through there, and we're going to pull it through the first 5 bands this time. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So now we're going to pick up the outside 2 bands and place those back on our hook, like that, and then close it. Once again, we have to rearrange because you want that white band being inside. So just pull these 2 out, like that. Now we're going to add on some border bands, so we'll be adding 2 on, 1 at a time. So the first one's going to go through the first 3 bands. Before reattaching, we're going to pick up the outside band and place it back on our hook, and then close it off. And we'll do that one more time with the border color. Going through the first 2, picking up the outside band, getting it back on your hook, and then close it off. So it's laying like this right now. So now we need to do the same thing to the other side. So when you slide it down, just be careful. You want to make sure everything stays in the correct order. So now we can start on this side. So I'm going to grab my white. We're going to start by pulling it through the first 6. And then before reattaching, we need to pick up the 4 outermost bands. So skip the first 2, and then pick up all 4 of these end ones. Reattach. And now we need to rearrange because we want the white in the middle. So you just want to make sure all of your border bands are on the outside. Like so. Grab another white or inner color, and we're going to pull this one through the first 5. Now before reattaching, we need to pick up the outside 2 bands, get them back on your hook, and close it off. So we need to rearrange. You always want them border bands on the outside, like that. So this is where we will start adding on our borders, so we need to add 2. So the first one will go through the first 3 bands. You're only going to pick up the very outside band and get it back on your hook, and then close it off. I'm going to do that one more time. Going through the first 2. Pick up the very outside band and get it back on your hook, and close it off. So to start our next section, we need to cross the middle bands, the middle 4, and you want to make sure you're doing it in the same direction that the underneath was in. So this time, these 2 are going to go to the right. And make sure you keep them crossed like this for this next part. So you can decide if you want to use the same color in the middle or switch it like I did. I'm going to switch, and we're now going to go to my silicone pink. So this first band is going to go through the first 6 bands. Make sure you keep them crossed as you do this part. Before reattaching, you want to pick up the outside 4 bands, get all 4 of them back on your hook, and then close off what you're pulling through. Rearrange. You want your border bands being on the outside, like that. So I'm going to grab my second pink, because you always add 2 of the inner bands on. So this one's going to go through the first 5. And before reattaching that, we're going to pick up the outside 2 bands, get them back on your hook, and now close off the pink you're pulling through. Now you do want to keep them in order, and as you can see, my white one popped over. So I'm going to fix that. So just always pay attention to that, you know, that you want that staying over here, okay? And now we have to rearrange this over here because you want that being on the inside. So it should be sitting like that. And now I'm going to add on my border bands. So we need to always add 2 onto each end after pulling the middle bands through. So this is going to go through the first 3. And then you're going to pick up the outside band and put it back on your hook. Then you can close that off. We're going to do that one more time for this side. Going through the first 2. Pick up the outside band, place it back on, and close it. So now we're going to slide everything down, and we'll do the same thing on this side. Just make sure you're keeping everything in the proper order. So I'm going to grab my first pink for this side, and we'll be pulling it through the first 6. Before closing it off, pick up the very outside 4 bands. Get all of them back on your hook, and then you can close off the one you're pulling through. And now this is where we need to rearrange. So it's sitting in the middle. And now I'm going to grab my second pink for this side. And we're going to pull this through the first 5. We're going to pick up the outside 2, place them back on our hook, and close off the one we're pulling through. And now rearrange these 2. Like so. I'm going to grab my border. So I'm going to pull this through the first 3 bands, and then I'm going to pick up the very outside band and get that back on my hook and then close it off. And I'll do that one more time for the border band, but this time I'm only going through the first 2 and then picking up the outside band and getting it back on my hook and close it off. So now we'd be ready to go on to our next section. So the first thing that we would do is cross these middle bands. So the right band should be crossing to the left this time. Make sure you keep them crossed. And I'm going to go back to my weight for the inner bands. So you're going to pull that through the first 6. And then you're going to pick up the outside 4, get them back on your hook. Close it off. Rearrange the 4 and get that white in the middle. And then grab my second white or second inner band and pull that through the first 5. And this time you'll be picking up the outside 2 bands, get them back on your hook, close it off, and rearrange. Keep them in that order, and now we'll do our 2 border bands. So the first border band will go through the first 3, and then you'll pick up the outside band and place it back on, and then you'll close it. And then the second one will go through the first 2, and you'll pick up the outside band, place it back on, and close it. Like that. So we need to do the right side now. So I'm going to slide everything down carefully. And we can do this side. So I'm going to grab my first white for this side. We'll pull this through the first 6. And then we'll pick up the outside 4 bands. And then you can close off the one you pulled through. I'm just going to plop these over because I want them on the outside. I'm going to pull my second one through, my inner white, going through the first 5. And we're going to pick up the outside 2 bands and then close it. I'm going to rearrange it. And now we do our border bands. So the first 2, or excuse me, the first one goes through the first 3 bands. Pick up the outside band, then close it. And then pull your second border band through, going through the first 2. Pick up the outside band, and then close it. Like so. So now we would be ready to start our next section. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it quietly. And if I went too fast for you or you're just not catching on yet, you can certainly rewind and watch the previous instructions, or you can just continue watching what I'm doing here. Okay guys, so when you have enough length and you are ready to close it up, you're going to be at the point like you would start your next section. You would do the same thing. You're going to cross your middles, just like you were doing the rest of the time. You're going to grab, or excuse me, this time instead of grabbing a middle color, you're going to grab a border color to close it. So you would grab a border color band, and you're going to pull it through the first 6, just like before. Make sure you keep them crossed when you're pulling this through. Now this time, instead of picking up the outside 4, we're only going to pick up the 1 outside band, place it back on, and then close it off. You're going to want to leave it like that and slide it down. We're not going to do anything else to that side. Just be careful sliding it. I was a little messy with it. And we're going to do that same thing on this side. So grab a border band. Pull it through your first 6. And if this pops out over here, it really doesn't matter. So pick up the outside band, place it back on, and then close it. And now we're going to grab one more border band. And we're going to pull it through the remaining 6 that are on our hook. Like so. That is how you complete the super cute puzzler bracelet. So I hope you guys were able to get it down from the instructions I just gave you. So I definitely hope you try it out. If you do, please tag me, Loves to Loom, and Loomy Mama on Instagram. We definitely would love to see your rendition on it. And if you like this, please hit the like button below as well. I certainly appreciate you watching, and I'll see you soon at my next video. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.